My name is Sara. I am the co-EIC here at NOVAsia magazine.
My name is Matt. I'm an editor and I assist in the video production.
Would you guys mind introducing yourselves?
Yes. Hello, my name is Lika and I'm from Georgia. I study at Yonsei University, but I am studying in Korean, so I'm not really familiar with GSIS.
No worries.
So my name is Mariami. I'm studying at SKTU. I'm not a Yonsei student. Well, that's all, kinda.
Nice. So thank you so much for agreeing to come on here. I know you're a friend of Cherian, who's editor here at NOVAsia magazine. So we invited you here to talk about your country because we're both very interested in it. I'm from Canada.
I'm from the States.
Okay.
The very Western ideas here.
So is there anything you want to just start off by telling us about your country or anything that...
Like, Georgia is not really famous anywhere, so when you say Georgia, everybody here thinks that I'm from US, and they say that I don't have a South accent. So it's like, what kind of Georgian are you? But, and again, when I meet Koreans, they're more like Georgian coffee.
Oh,
yeah, which is not even from our country. We don't have coffee.
We don't
drink coffee.
Oh, wow. Wait, really?
Yeah.
We do drink coffee.
Like, everyone drinks coffee, but Georgians don't really are like, in America you drink coffee a whole day, right? Not us. So.
And we don't produce coffee at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
But like, honestly, like, more than being offended being from USA, what we get from Koreans is that then when we explain that, no, it's a small country somewhere between Turkey and Russia, and they go like, oh, Georgia. And that is when it like really hits us in the head, and we are like, no, stop. No. Like,
Don't call us that.
It's a pretty sensitive issue, and that's what the problem we always have in Korea, in banks, in universities, anywhere we go, they're like, oh, Georgia. No, not anymore.
So Georgia is a Russian pronunciation of our country. So like in English we call it Georgia. As again, it comes from Greek. It's not an English word, it comes from the Greek Georgos, like Geo.
Like the people who do the land, like
who work on the land. Like geography, geology, like that geo.
So like when Greek people visited Georgia back in like long ago, it's like even before the Christ, they were like, oh, these people really work on land. They are farmers, so let's call them the name according to this. And like when we had to change our name in 2003, after we kind of separated ourselves from Russian influence, we were like, what name should we use? And because in Europe, people were more familiar with the name Georgia, we just stuck with it. So it became the Republic of Georgia, like that.
Oh, okay,
interesting. I see, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But in Georgian, our name is pronounced like differently.
Okay.
Very differently.
How
So our country's name is Sakartvelo.
Sakartvelo.
One more time?
Sakartvelo.
Sakartvelo?
Yeah.
No.
Trying to be nice.
Yeah.
You're getting there.
Because like Georgian pronunciation is really hard. Even for people who learn Georgian, it's the hardest thing ever. So we are very kind of okay, even if it sounds similar to the version, we're like, oh, cool, you're doing great.
You're doing very well. And like we don't really have, like there are a few legends about where our name comes from. But we were like just talking that we don't agree with those versions and with those legends.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah.
It's like, creation legends can go really crazy, especially in Asia. Georgians went way crazier than that. It's not like just beer turning into a woman. It's like saying that everyone comes from Noah and like, descendants of Noah, 3 of them suddenly decided to live in Georgia, and then that's how they divided the whole country. And one of the descendants' names was Kartlos, who was living in the center of Georgia, and that name, from his name, Kartlos, became Sakartvelo, like the full name of the country, which is like, it's kind of hard to believe in 21st century. Because like
a cool story.
Yeah, but
it's just a story.
Yeah, but like Georgians, especially ones in age, obviously agree with this. But when we tell the story, it's like, oh, we're joking.
It's just a legend, like nothing more than a story, an old story that I don't know grandparents tell you. when you were young.
So the meaning of the name Sakartvelo, it's like, why did I say that like in English pronunciation? Sakartvelo is like the land of the people of Kartveli. That's the like the race of Georgian people. That's what it means. So it's like all inside the name. So we're really kind of proud of our language because like there are so many countries in the world and there are only 14 who have the alphabet and we're the one of the oldest who had the alphabet. So whenever I go somewhere I'm like, we have our alphabet. It's like no one really asks you, but it just comes up like, but we have the alphabet.
Not one, but three. You have a 3 alphabet.
So is it like 3 separate alphabets that all come together, or is it...
So there is like 3 alphabets. Okay. So there is a story that our first alphabet was found like created in the 3rd century BC by the king Pharnavasi I.
Okay.
So we were using that alphabet like till 8th-9th century, and then we started using another one. Like the first writing of the second alphabet comes from the like 9th century, and then we started using the third one. Like really late, like maybe 18th, 19th century. But the first writings of the third alphabet come from the 11th century.
So basically it's like evolutions over time.
Yes.
More about, you're using the most current one, but like there's older documents that are like made in the other ones.
So the first one was very circly. Like it was very circle. Like a lot of circles and like...
Yeah,
that's
you're right.
I was like, it talks about many circles. I was like, language focus only on circles.
Like
it's like writing style.
Like if you can see, I wrote our capital's name.
We have lots of circles, right?
So you can see there's a lot of like circle. And the first one was more. There were more circles, and this is the third one. This is our third alphabet. So the first alphabet is called Asom Tauruli.
Okay.
I'm not gonna.
It like means that the alphabet of the like main people, and even now, if you read like old Georgian writings or even the new ones, we try to write the first letter with the first alphabet, like a symbol that we still remember.
Or the Bible, or the Bible.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Even the ones that like they use now in the churches, they may be written in the first and the second alphabet.
Okay, so that's really interesting.
Yes.
It's like same alphabet, to be honest, but we can't read first and second. We studied it at school, but
we did.
I don't remember it.
And like there were 38 letters in the first Asom Tavruli alphabet. And there comes second one, which is called Nushuri. And then there comes the third one, which is called Mkhedruli. And we only use 33 letters now.
So the first one had how many letters?
38.
Okay, so you basically just like condense it a little bit.
Yeah, like in 20th century when we had this huge revolution of the poets and the writers, they thought that this is not important anymore. This makes our language difficult for people to understand, even for Georgians. So they were like, let's make it way easier. We don't need... So it kind of evolved along the people to be like more modern.
Yeah, or more easier.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like second one is very straight lines. Like straight lines.
It's
and then you see
write.
a third one and it's kind of mixed all together.
So first one had circles, second one
had lines, and then
now
we
here we
mixed
are in the
it.
middle. Yeah,
circles and the lines. Circles and the lines.
I feel you.
Yeah, but as Mari said, we cannot read the first one or the second one.
Do you think that maybe like over time the first and second are gonna get phased out like entirely?
Like
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing that in Georgia church is kind of powerful because we're like 85% of the Georgians are Orthodox Christians and the religious texts are written in the first and second alphabet. So they still try to pursue it, and like honestly, we're so prideful of it. I don't think that we will be like, okay, let's forget it all. Yeah. So we will be like still like teaching it in schools as time goes on.
Okay, so it's taught in schools then.
Yes, we learned it. Okay. We learned it, like,
but we forgot.
In like second or third grade.
I feel that
around that time, and we did not really use it after that.
Yeah, they just taught it to us, like it existed, and we have the history of this. So.
That's really interesting. I couldn't imagine like trying to learn 3 alphabets.
Like it was not difficult back then, but you just forget it. Yeah.
I feel what you mean.
Not using it makes you forget it. Yeah.
Okay.
And like, but the spoken language is the same for Like it's only like Georgian. Like we have a standard Georgian. Of course, we have a dialects, and then we have like 2 another languages inside our like.
That's
language.
where it gets complicated.
Yes, it's very complicated there. That one that we don't understand. Like unless you learn it or are born into a family that is from there, you don't speak it and you do not understand it.
Okay.
Like I cannot even understand a word.
Oh,
so
interesting.
it's called
it's totally different. And now recently they started translating. That one is Swanuri, another is Megruli. So they started suddenly translating worldwide literature in one of the languages, and I'm like, why are we doing this? We're literally making it hard for people who don't know Georgia. Like when they search us, and there is like text in Georgian, and there is text in another Georgian language, so it becomes kind of complicated. But those people, those regions really take pride in their own language. So it is just it's like, we can say that it's like son and sister of the, like daughter of the main language, because it's not totally different. It's totally different with pronunciation, but it's written and grammar, everything is same.
Oh, that's interesting.
Do you guys have, besides learning Georgian, is there like a big focus on other languages in school, like English or like Russian, Chinese, or anything like that?
Okay, so the period kind of varies, but right now from first class you're just studying English. It's a must. It became a mandatory. There has been talks that from 6th grade and after, now there are lots of Chinese institutions inside Georgia, so they're trying to also give people choice to learn Chinese. But when we were going to school, it was all about Russian. So from 1st grade we were studying Russian, and then from the 4th grade we started English. So like most of our generation knows Russian along with Georgian, because that was the policy of our government back then. But after we had war in 2008, Russian was like totally deleted removed from every Georgian school, because it was the language of an occupant land. So
so nowadays you start like learning Russian in the 7th grade, so like it's middle school.
But it's a choice. Before that it wasn't mandatory, but now it's just a choice.
Because we went to school in early 2000s, and that's where we still have influence, like a lot of influence from Russia, and like the Rose Revolution yet has to happen.
Now, do you mind talking about that at all, like the Rose Revolution?
In
case people don't know what it is, because that's something that I just learned when I was researching for this.
Because like it's like literally the most important milestone in Georgian history, recent history. Like after Soviet Union collapsed, Georgia got its independence in 1991. But the problem was that the president who became not first president, but the second president who kind of killed first one.
Confidential information.
No, we all still talk about it.
We all know it though.
But no one wants to say it out loud.
Low key.
So like the second president worked for Soviet Union, and he was the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Soviet Union. So the guy was totally influenced by Soviet Union. His policies was all the ones which only favored Russia. It had nothing to do with Georgian development. So in elections of 2002, suddenly, even though people were angry, we had no economy, Georgia was kind of a collapsed state, he suddenly announces that he won elections with 90% and more, which was really the last straw for Georgian people. That's when we came out on Revolution. I remember I was watching it on TV because I was already like 7 years old. So it was like, this is like, you're a kid, but you still feel that this is something that is going to change your whole future. So like it was the fact that it happened peacefully and we didn't have the bloodshed like it usually happens with revolutions. It was a very important turning point when Georgia said that like now we're on the road of the democratic state. Now we don't want to be associated with old Soviet Union, but we want to be part of European Union. We are part of Europe. That's when the narrative of Georgians being Europeans came out. So it was a very important moment for Georgian politics and history in general. And after that, we changed government peacefully once. And then second time, it did not happen as we want to go. And now it feels like we're going back to old times, and there are lots of tension at the moment within opposition and government party. But well, maybe not soon, but I hope we will have another democratic transition anytime soon.
Okay.
I see what you mean. Because when I was learning about the country, I saw about after the Rose Revolution, right?
Yeah, like they enter the parliament building holding roses. It's a
That's
peaceful
why it's called
protest.
Rose Revolution.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like they entered people entered the parliament.
Not political party. Like obviously there were
Yeah.
politicians, but it
Politicians,
was
like
Georgian
people
who did.
They were holding roses.
That's why the name is
Rose
like red rose,
Revolution.
and it just came from
It
there.
sounds
Like,
very symbolic because everyone talks about after that. You said it became more about the European, more democratized. I saw like the economy in Georgia basically like skyrocketed, and like there's been like a lot more tourism, a lot more interaction. But you're saying that you feel that it might be like going back, kind of, or moving away from the kind of ties.
In recent years, yes, that is the biggest problem with new generation. Like old people, they still have this Soviet experience, right? After Soviet experience, so they think that like it's still okay because we're still democratic, but it's not what we expected. When revolution happened in 2003, what we expected was the way better situation. Yes, at first it was economic boom, tourists coming in, but now it feels like our government is still moving towards Russia instead of moving towards Europe. And that's a very big no-no in any Georgian's mind, because you can't be friends with a country who just had a war with you 5-6 years
and
ago.
also like the generation gap is pretty big. Like the people who is like, we all had work back in Soviet Union, like we all had that in Soviet Union, like this was how it was happening back in Soviet Union. Well, we did not have any choice in anything, but still we had something.
Okay.
So like there's a big generation gap.
But like at least what we both agree is that like still 20% of Georgia is occupied by Russia. So even the old generation, they used to live in those territories and they were kicked out of their homes. So for them, it's also like, yeah, they don't want to have Russia as an enemy, but the fact that they are the enemy doesn't change. So it's like,
I see that ties. So basically just like surface change that you thought was going to create these big differences, but then unsatisfied with the differences you get. So maybe battling back and forth.
And like I know that like the changes cannot happen, like you need time. Like country needs to develop, like it, but it was a very like boom at first, and a lot of people coming in, like Georgia opening. Like Georgia was always open. It was just nobody was coming.
no one knew where you were.
No one knew that we existed there.
Yeah.
So even like tourists, like there's a lot of like tourists even now, like before Corona, like COVID-19, of course.
Oh, I'm sure that probably like
because like people, it did.
We used to work in the tourist sector, guys, for Korean tourists.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So like for 3 years, 4 years, so we saw it all happening. Like the numbers increasing within the time, the moment infrastructure improved and people hear that, oh, there is this country who invented wine and there is this country who is so open, and suddenly people started coming, and we were like, so many tourists, we don't have people who speak Korean, what should we do? It was like tour after tour. So but now because of COVID it is totally closed. We still have the like 9-hour curfew, so it's kind of hit our economy pretty badly. So.
Because tourism was a big part of it. Like really, really big part of it. So now, like people are struggling.
I could see that.
And there's this political situation and like everything all together. So like every day I wake up and I see news and I'm like, what's happening? Like a lot of stuff changes really fast, and I'm like, I can't even keep up with it.
That's true. So obviously you mentioned wine, right?
Yes, I actually have some questions about wine too. I wanted to know.
The big tourist attractions like wine. Then I saw there's like heli skiing. Like apparently like a huge thing is like flying and then jumping out of a helicopter to go ski down the mountain. Like.
Okay, I'll talk about wine then.
I'd like to know about wine.
Okay, so originally it was believed that wine comes from Greece. Then there were historical artifacts found in Iran which said that now it comes from there. But 2014, suddenly it was honestly Canadian and British researchers who found out the oldest wine crystals in Georgia.
Okay.
So according to that findings, Georgian wine was made 8,000 years ago, which makes it the oldest wine in the world. So with that, obviously now whole Greek mythology is a fake. Because they were not the ones who invented wine.
I told you, filter. She doesn't have a filter.
I'm sure
Yeah,
we'll have
but
many
it's
comments
true.
from everyone.
It's mostly going to be Italians coming in, the French being like,
Yeah,
I
but
just want to put out.
Well,
you
that's
are
a fact.
always like, bring me evidence, and we have evidence. They don't, so it works against evidence. So like Georgian wine became a kind of huge deal after that. Like Georgians obviously loved it, like throughout the whole centuries, but like suddenly European people who loved wine got interested into it. And when UNESCO got interested, because that's the homeland of the wine, they suddenly started paying attention to the way we make wine.
Yeah.
So in the whole world, there are two ways you make wine: European style and Georgian style. Georgian style means that you make it on the clay pot,
I was seeing pictures
It's
of
huge.
it.
It's a huge clay pot.
Yeah, honestly,
Like a huge.
it can be 1 ton, 2 ton, 3 ton, like that. We have seen like the huge ones, which are like, and people who for generations, like 100 years, are making wine inside that thing. But like, along with the fact that we make it underground with that big, huge clay inside that huge clay, another factor is that when you make wine, usually Europeans separate the remains, seeds, and the juice. So for European style, you only make wine out from the juice. But Georgians, I don't know why, they decided to use the both of them. So when you make wine, you just leave both
Everything.
seeds, remains,
And the skin of the grape.
Skin of the grape,
like
all inside.
entire thing.
That's why Georgian wine in alcohol level is higher than European wine.
Positive,
And if you make it inside a clay, it's always dry. There is no semi-dry and there is no sweet. It's always dry.
Then again, actually, we started making sweet wine, but it was a very like late 18th, 19th century, where like we like Europe, like a little bit like European. Not I don't want to say influence because like we did not really get influenced by wine, but it just came into our country.
Yes.
But like they were making sweet wine even before that, so the grape was so sweet. That even inside that clay pot, that it's not possible, almost not possible to make a dry wine. You could make a sweet wine inside there. But it's a very like specific, like grapes. Only like maybe 1 or 2 that can do that.
Yeah, because we have various types of grapes inside our country, which is even in the mountains we have grapes, and that wine is probably the most expensive one, because when you climb up in Caucasus higher than 2,000 meters, no one expects there to be grape fields, and there they are. So that wine is, even in Georgia, it's pretty expensive one. But in total, Georgian wine prices are really cheap because everyone just makes it at home. We all have the experience of making wine at home at some point.
Like when my grandfather was making it, and we're just kids running around and like, and yes, it was a lot of fun. Like it's an experience.
Yeah, and like even up till now, we have this festival. It's like Tbilisoba. It's named after our capital, Tbilisi. So it's like we're celebrating it by the end of October when the grapes are all matured and you can start making wine. And if you look at the videos or are in Tbilisi at that time, even on our main hall, you can make wine on your own. The government usually does the experience for people to participate and to make wine all together. So it's like kind of huge festival because you celebrate our capital at the same time you celebrate the most treasured thing, wine in Georgia. So that it can get kind of fun.
Yeah, because we do it by feet. We press the wine like traditionally. Traditional style is you press it by your feet.
Yeah, kids love
and
that.
Then,
that sounds like so much fun.
Everybody, we all loved it as kids.
That's always something that I wanted to do, but I never had like the opportunity. It's something that you see on TV or you see it's like.
If you visit Georgia as a tourist, by the end of September or October, you can experience it. Yes. We usually have it when we are doing tours.
So would you say it's like the best time to go? Like what season?
For the best season, Georgia is probably the best in April, like in spring, May, June, and then September and October. Because July and August can get really hot.
And very humid.
Yeah.
Not as humid as Korea.
But still humid.
Still humid. Like the west part. the west part of Georgia is really humid, and the east is not so much.
Okay.
And then we also have this, like, even if you have, like, we have this, like, grapes everywhere, right, all around the Georgia, but, like, depends, like, it's in the east, like, which part of a Georgia it is.
Okay.
Same grape, it's gonna taste differently.
different.
Yes.
Just because like the atmosphere.
Yes,
like,
atmosphere and the
humidity
soil is different.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes,
Wow.
Like
because
soil
in
is
east
different.
we have semi-deserts,
Yes.
so the weather can go really hot in there, and the
Like
grapes taste
continental
differently.
climate.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
Okay, wow.
in the west we have more tropical.
Tropical.
Yeah, I would imagine that changes
Yeah.
the taste.
Yes,
pretty
it does.
significantly.
It does.
Honestly, more than change, I think it changes people's character.
Yes.
Ah.
Also the character, like,
So you think there's like a divide in like how people act in those two
Yes,
areas?
obviously. You meet someone from the east, you know they are from East Georgia. You meet someone from the west, you know they are from the west. And then you meet someone from the mountains, and you're like, oh, you come from there. Yeah, we know.
guess where we are from, like east or the west. Like we all are from capital, like both of
Yes.
us
Okay.
are from capital, but I mean our families, like our origins.
What's a good indicator for these areas?
Yeah.
So,
Like, what's
okay,
a good like?
because you're in east and it's more hot, and they had lots of old influence from Persia, like Iran and like Mongols, all these types. Even their appearance and the character is more like Asian culture stylish, and then we have West, who is
Near
close
sea.
to
Oh,
yes,
okay.
which
I can
was
see
closer to the like Byzantium Empire,
that.
and all Europeans came to Greek people, so the difference is kind of obvious when you see it. And then in mountains, people are like pretty
They-
cold.
No, they make look scary,
Yeah.
but they're not scary.
They are not really scary.
They are not
yeah,
scary.
but
Okay.
And
at
they
first you will
speak
think,
a
yeah.
little bit like, I don't know, in more like how to I don't know how to
When you
explain
hear
it.
them speaking, because that one of the languages that's one where it comes from the mountains, you may think they're fighting. Even we think they are
Oh.
fighting.
Yes, even we
like
think
we are
they're
Georgians, but
aggressive.
even we think they
Yeah,
are
aggressive
fighting.
and
Yeah,
okay.
cold.
more rough. I
They're
think more
not
rough.
really
Yeah.
like cold people or aggressive, but their appearance just tells you because they are acclimated to that kind of
Like
conditions.
the cold,
of
to the
cold
mountains,
and-
to the survival there.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
if you're living on the Caucasus Mountains, I guess.
But like they're very nice.
Yeah.
Like they're really, really, really nice.
Honestly, it's true to say that they are the most Georgians, truer Georgians.
Yeah.
Like, because that was the lens, even when we got occupied by Russia, who stayed independent till the end. They were the last region
to-
who fought against Russia.
Russian
And
Empire.
Russia was only once able to, empire to defeat them, and after that we had the full annexion. But like they really take pride in being Georgians.
Okay.
Yeah, like because we were like, I don't know, anyone who like passed on their way somewhere going, they all came to Georgia. Like Mongols came to Georgia. Like Byzantium invaded Georgia in the
Turkey
invaded Georgia.
Persia.
Russia invaded Georgia. Persia
This
It's getting a
invaded
very
Georgia.
long list.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone who came
empire
near.
you'd remember in Europe and in Middle East, everyone
Like
invaded
one of
Georgia.
the general of the Alexander the Great came to Georgia.
So
Oh, wow.
Well, like I told
But
you,
you're
anyone
still
who passed-
standing,
Yeah.
so who
Yeah.
really won in the end?
I would say why? Because they all disappeared. So
You
Yeah.
kept the wine. You
Yes.
kept.
Yes, we kept the
grapes.
language. Oh god,
that
we kept
language.
yes, that was most important. That we kept the language throughout
Mhm.
all these invasions. Even Russia could not, even though Russia demolished Georgian language and no one studied it at schools.
No one
And
spoke it.
Even that's when Georgian writers were like, no, if we lose our language, we're going to lose whole our country. Like we'll lose our identity. So they're like, let's keep this language. So they would publish everything. Like usually foreign friends ask me like, do you have any like great writers or stories? And I'm like, we have lots of great things, but one, you can't translate it to the other language. Georgian is so complex. And second, you won't understand the sentiment, It's more about asking for freedom, being free from Russian Empire, keeping your identity,
But
and
it
no one
doesn't-
really wants that, right?
But no, it doesn't really say it in your face.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of like hidden meanings and
Yes,
deeper sentiment
like-
that you need to have like
Yes.
a broader
Yes.
cultural
Yeah.
understanding.
And actually, like our literature, like 19th century literature, was all about freedom because we became part of the Russian Empire in the 19th century. So there was this society, like a Georgian language society. They just went to like these writers just went to the like random villages and the like cities of Georgia, and they taught our language to people, to the kids.
Okay.
Wow.
So, and they were also a big part of the independence movement.
Yeah.
They were the independence movement.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
So these writers, so it's like a lot of like great books that were written back in the 19th century, and like some of them may just seem like a roman, like novels, like romans, but like they're not.
Yeah, we were at the peak of achieving something great in Europe when another Georgian decided that why Georgia needs independence, let's make them part of Russia.
Yes.
Like,
Makes sense.
yeah.
Like, you know, like we still haven't guessed where we think you're from.
Yes.
Oh no. I was
Like
hoping we
actually
moved
look at
past
it like it's not only about Georgia, like how the people are like who live near the ocean and like, or the ones who are like more inside of the continent. So like east part is like like think there is like no water around it.
There is semi-desert, there are
A bit semi-desert.
more Islamic states who influence it.
And then this comes the west, where it's like people, the seas over there, and like they have a good weather and they're happy. And
I'm gonna go with west.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I was like, I feel a solid west coming. Getting some west
no, so
vibes.
it's not that big of a difference actually, but it's like we have a lot of like these jokes back in Georgia, like about the people in like, because we have these different regions. So like we say a lot of like we diss each other, kind of. We do diss each other, but it's not. It's a one big like small country and very united, and there is no like I'm better than you or you're better than me, or like or the west is better or the east is better. It's not like that at all.
Like, you know, like Georgian things, like if you ask American where are you from, they tell you the state, right?
Yeah.
If you ask Georgians, they don't go like I'm from this region or that region. We just say we're from Georgia. So it's like the idea is that like we're just unified. No one cares who is like from which region. So I guess there is quite a difference because we always had to defend our country as a whole.
Yes.
So it comes from, even now for us, it's like we don't care which region are we from. All we care is that we are from Georgia. That's what matters for us.
Yes.
That's good.
Because really even now we are still fighting for our survival. Like Russia did not go anywhere.
Yeah, your geographic location puts you around a lot of big
like
people.
there is Russia, right? And there in the south there is Turkey, Armenia, Azerbaijan. There's a lot of tension when it comes to Armenia, Turkey. There's a lot of tension when it comes to Azerbaijan, Armenia, and then there's a lot of tension when it comes to us and Russia. And there's a little bit of a tension between us and Azerbaijan these days because of the like territory disputes again.
Yes.
But like compared, like if we avoid Russia at all, with other neighbors we have very good relationships, and we kind of play the mediator between them because other third countries don't have good relationships with each other. So
like, they have close borders with each other, so the only way to cross
through us,
like you have to go through us, like Turkey, Georgia, Armenia, or like Azerbaijan, Georgia, Armenia. Like there is no other way.
We're a very good pathway.
Very interesting role that you guys have to play.
That was
amazing.
That was from the old times too.
Yes.
Like there is theory that even Silk Road, the one from China, went to Europe. One of the roads was from through Georgia.
Oh,
so like that's how they connected to the Byzantium Empire, because that was the only border they could pass. So Georgian kings used that for their advantage lots. There was this huge gate they would just close if they were like, well, you know, I don't feel like giving you like trade routes. So they're like, you know what, Byzantium? No, not happening.
So we also have this like karavaslas in Georgia. It comes from the caravansaray.
I'm not too
Caravans.
It's from like Persian, and
it's a roadway hotel.
Yeah.
Okay.
For the merchants, like who went all their way.
Pass by and they can stay for the
like
night.
Caravans. Caravans are
caravan.
Caravan. So like we have them like in our capital too, and they're not like the old ones. So like it was one of the like the routes like where the merchants went through.
So now we have like tourism that's coming in and all coming and joining, but then honestly that's a lot of the history was like that too with other countries. So
we were always open. Like Georgia was never a closed country. Like we were always like welcoming to the foreign, because like there are like like Ottomans, Persians, when they were not invading us.
Yes.
There were not many times like that, but still there were people 1 or 2 years.
That's why we say like there are a lot of like Muslims in Georgia. There are Georgian Muslims.
Yes.
Like not ethnically Georgian, but like their religion, like they're not Orthodox Christians.
Okay.
So like it was not like because like a lot of people changed their religion like mid-centuries when we were getting influence from the Ottoman, like now Turkey Ottoman dynasty and the Persia, because it was like if you were the Muslim, you did not have to pay the taxes. So some people made this decision to change the religion, but it was not like, why did you do that? Like nobody was judging anyone to say that.
So like to say on religious even and ethnical factors, we are kind of very welcoming. We don't have problems with other groups. So the Georgians were like, it doesn't matter which religion you are from, as long we can get along, you can live here and do whatever you want. So we didn't really pay attention to these kind of things. And you know, like even feminist issues, obviously we have problems in Georgia, like every country has the problem. But when tourists are specifically asking us about like, how about females? Like how do you treat, like in 11th century, 12th century, we had Georgian king who was female.
Yeah,
she was king, but she was a female.
So the king was
it's
more
the
like
golden
a title.
era. Yes, it was a golden era of Georgia actually. Her time was the golden era.
Yeah, like we had the female diplomats back then. So it's like when they ask us like, you know, in Georgia we were always kind of considerate about all men and female, like it doesn't matter for us. Sure, there are problems. So no one is saying there are not, but we were still more welcoming to this kind of ideas way back then.
That's really interesting, since like you already said like you had like 80% Orthodox, right? But then having like that acceptance of other religions is somewhere that we see not really many countries have been able to find a real
and also Jews, like there were a lot of Jews living in Georgia, but after the like Soviet Union's crash, like they kind of left because like there was no country. Like there was only crumbles of it like around, and so a lot of people left. Like a lot of Jews left Georgia, but there is like legends that they came like 2,000 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
So that's very important. That's something not many people know, but Georgians were first Europeans. That's like,
here we go.
Yeah. Okay. Like, yeah, that's kind of complicated, but like everyone knows that first people lived in Africa, right? And then they moved. But according to, there were findings that they first moved in Spain because like connected through the continent. But apparently no, in 1991, when archaeological site was found in Georgia, they found 1.9 million old bones, which belonged to the first settlers of Georgia, the family.
Like Caucasian settlers.
Yeah. Okay. And there is nothing older than this found in whole Europe. So the theories believe that they're from Africa, they moved to Georgia first, and then from there they moved through the whole European continent. So that makes us first European.
So they're still discovering a lot of stuff.
That's what I was about to say. Is there like a lot of archaeology work that has been done?
It has been done, and it's
still going. Like the same places that was like they were started like 1991, and like in 90s they are still digging there.
Yeah, wow. Because like during Soviet Union, Russia obviously didn't care about it. So after we got the independence, first archaeologists came to Georgia, and ever since, every year they just find out something new site, and they're like, okay, let's dig here right now. So that's when they found Georgian gold, which is like the oldest. Like, that's pretty old. I don't know, in America, like Colchis, the story of the Golden Fleece, which is connected to the Argonauts, the Argonauts story. Like, that story is based on Georgia. They came to Georgia, stole our golden fleece, and went to Greek.
Sounds very American, yes.
So like Greek people in Europe, they were like.
There's also a movie actually.
Really?
Jason and the Argonauts.
Yes. And you know the Percy Jackson?
Yeah,
that's an American movie, right?
Yes.
On the second part, they talk about Colchis bulls and Golden Fleece. That is ours.
Like west part of Georgia, Kolkheti, the kingdom of Kolkheti.
Yeah.
Colchis. Yes.
They knew how to make gold from old times. It's not like something grand. Like back then it was obviously grand technology. Our rivers were full of the golds, so they would put the what's it called, gold? No,
I know it's
sheep.
The skin of the ship.
Okay. They would put it inside the water, and those
filtered.
Small golden.
Oh, interesting.
Golden stones will catch it.
Yes, so that's why I like the story of the Golden Fleece.
That's why it's.
Of course, there is another legend, but that's what the Georgians really did. They put like the skin of the ship inside, and the gold stuck on it,
and then they would create like lots of. We have we found from archaeological sites, we have one of the richest golden collections in the world. When it was
like
found, Great Britain, because they are kind of they take pride when it comes to their gold. They were like, oh, it's impossible that it's like authentic or that old. So they sent the scholars to Georgia to examine it. They were like, okay, it's real. Guys, it's real.
Like, it's really amazing. You just go to, like, it's in our history museum in Tbilisi. Like, we did not say that Tbilisi is the capital of Georgia.
Tbilisi is the capital.
Tbilisi is the capital of Georgia. Okay. So, like, in our history museum, like, you go, there's a gold fund, and you could just go down there, and it's amazing. Like, you wouldn't think that is, like, made in the, like, I don't know, 12th century BC, and they are made back then.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
And it's not something like, I don't know, like, they even look amazing. In
like
21st
even
century.
the technique of the making is unique for Georgian style. So it's like one of the I think coolest places in our capital. Whenever I take tourists there, I'm like, okay, you all need to see this.
You'll need to go to the museum. Like, history museum is a must go there.
Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with the two of us today.
Oh, it was
really good. It was really
good.
It was
Thank you for doing it about Georgia, because still not many people know about it. So we're always like, we're all in when something like this happens, because that's one of the ways we can tell people that, yeah, we exist.
Actually, there are like few Korean documentaries, like few Korean shows that like went to Georgia, like shows.
Interesting.
But if they are not documentaries, they just went there, like visited like few places, had a good time, and came back. And there's also a documentaries actually, like 세계 걸어서 세계.
It's like the guy travels all around the world and does the.
But actually, it's a little bit old. So that's how now a lot of people in Korea know about Georgia. So like the first reaction may be the like Georgian coffee, but then again you explain like no this, and then they are Georgia. And then it connects because that is how they learned, and you cannot really say anything about it. They learned it like that.
Yes, of course.
And they actually there are some people who still think that we're part of Russia, that we speak Russian. We do speak Russian, but not all of us though. Not all of us, but like we have our own language. Like we have a like culture, like this huge civilization that like Georgia was like I don't know how many centuries ago. Like there were a lot of like countries that were not around, and then we were already a state, a country, a kingdom. So like I'm really glad that we had this opportunity to talk about our country. As you can see, like we take pride.
Good pride.
No, it's
like,
good.
Yes.
Like sometimes we will go overboard, but then it comes from that we are like how to say, like in our minds is always protected, and that's how we still came. Now I guess, and like there was a lot of like Christianity was a big part of it, like this united Georgia that is like we have to protect it, like we have to protect our religion, we have to protect our people, like our kingdom, like everything. So it kind of comes from that. But then again, like all European countries are very nationalistic and they take pride in like their culture. So I guess it comes from that.
Well, we're just happy you could be a part of it a little bit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.